Choices in isolation, and other things drama school won't tell you. Chapter 2. The Data of Disparity. To understand the scale of the problem, we must follow the evidence. The numbers tell a story that anecdotes alone cannot, a story of systemic exclusion and concentrated power. A chokehold, if you will. The stifling of creativity, if you please. Let's look at the data from a selection of major UK productions. An analysis of the principal casts for 10 major British television productions reveals a systemic and stark disparity in opportunity. Despite hundreds of talent agencies operating in the UK, the vast majority of leading and supporting roles are consistently concentrated among a remarkably small and repeating list of powerful agencies. These roles are where you'll find all the money, all the exposure, all the security. The evidence, an industry-wide pattern. The Gentleman, 75% of principal cast from just 8 agencies. 1,000 Blows, 66% of principal cast from just 3 agencies. Gangs of London, 59% of principal cast from just 3 agencies. Andor, 59% of principal cast from just 3 agencies. House of the Dragon, 57% of principal cast from only 5 agencies. The Crown, 54% of principal cast from only 5 agencies. A Discovery of Witches, 54% of principal cast shared among 4 agencies. Rivals, 53% of principal cast from just 4 agencies. The Witcher, over 50% of principal roles from only 4 agencies. The Gold, 25 lead roles allocated to only 12 agencies. Out of 296 agencies in total. The Gatekeepers, the agencies that dominate. The same agency names appear again and again as the top suppliers of talent across these disparate productions. Curtis Brown Group, Independent Talent, The Artist Partnership, Hamilton Hodel, United, Conwy Van Gelder Grant, 42, Markham Froggatt and Irwin. The underlying conflict. This data points to a deeply entrenched network. In several documented cases, the casting director for a production was represented by the same agency as multiple actors they hired for principal roles, suggesting a potential conflict of interest and a system that defaults to its own inner circle. This is not a series of coincidences. It is evidence of a systemic casting gap. A closed network consistently secures the vast majority of leading roles and supporting roles, creating a significant barrier for the thousands of actors represented by smaller agencies and ultimately narrowing the range of talent and stories that reach the screen. This pattern is not accidental, it is structural. When a handful of agencies consistently provide the majority of cast for the majority of high-profile work, it creates a controlled system. Casting directors rely on them for speed and perceived reliability, producers trust their brands, and their clients continue to book jobs, making the agencies more powerful. Meanwhile, hundreds of other agencies and the thousands of actors they represent are left fighting for the scraps. Think Hunger Games, and you'll be close. This data matters because it moves the conversation from a vague sense of unfairness to an undeniable, checkable, verifiable reality. The industry is not an open marketplace of talent. It is a narrow, directed funnel. The human algorithm, proximity and access. But the data only tells half the story. The other half is written in the day-to-day realities that every working actor recognises but rarely sees assessed. It's in the unspoken rules of access that create a chasm between them and us. Ask yourself, why do you see certain casting directors using their social media platforms to publicly champion specific actors? This isn't an organic celebration of talent. It's a powerful signal. It reinforces that actor's status as pre-approved and directs industry attention towards them, further solidifying their place on the private list. Why are some actors invited into casting directors' offices for informal coffees, asked for their opinions on projects that they're about to cast? This isn't a casual chat. It's an integration into the inner circle. It's access that 99% of actors will never be offered. The them and us situation is off the scale. A very well-known casting director once posted on social media, "When you've seen an actor for over 30 roles and they book the gig," accompanied by a meme of a baby punching the air. 30 roles. Seen for 30 roles. I have been a professional actor for 16 years. I have an extensive body of work on stage and screen. In that same 16-year period, that very same casting director has seen me once. This is not an isolated experience. It is the norm. I once lived with an actor who was represented by a massive agency. They graduated drama school after me, had next to no credits, and yet they were auditioning for main roles or huge supporting roles week after week. It became the running joke that reading in for them was my full-time job. What had they done to deserve this avalanche of opportunity? The only discernible difference was the name of their agent. That year, I had 6 auditions. The full year. 6. They had 4 to 6 auditions every week. In my entire 16-year career, I have had 1 audition for a principal role, just 1. And for that single precious opportunity, I was given less than 24 hours to learn 4 intense scenes. I felt utterly deflated and, to be honest, sabotaged. Was it a test? Or was it simply that my chance was never really a chance at all? The casting director seemed jaded. I hadn't slept, and the infatuation with being off book that we seem to have here in the UK was the biggest hurdle that day. Lo and behold, they cast a name from CAA. Colour me surprised. They wasted my time. This is the reality. It hasn't changed. If anything, it has gotten worse. What annoys and frustrates me most is our collective willingness to ignore it. We treat it as some unchangeable law of nature, but it's not. It is a man-made system built on relationships that benefit a few at the expense of the many. It's almost like actors want to ignore it, so the day they are accepted into the fold, they can turn and pull the ladder up after them. They can then adopt and transition from us to them. Maybe this is just the acting version of the crystal maze. The agency is the sought-after, shiny, glimmering, hopeful gem. The data provides the skeleton of the argument, but these stories are the meat. They prove that the numbers aren't just statistics. They are a lived experience of exclusion for the majority of talented, committed professionals. To ignore this reality is to be complicit in it. The pattern extends to prestige. The industry's reliance on a narrow network doesn't just shape employment, it curates acclaim. The agencies representing the 2025 Scottish BAFTA acting nominees are a mirror of the television data, confirming the loop is closed. United, 3 nominations. Independent/CAA, 3 nominations. Commie Van Gelder Grant, 3 nominations. B-Side, 2 nominations. Curtis Brown, 1 nomination. Hamilton Hodel/CAA, 1 nomination. The list of nominees, drawn from just a handful of entities, proves the system that controls casting also filters award recognition. The pathway to a leading role and the pathway to prestige run through the same gatekeepers, the same agencies, time and time again, systemically excluding the vast talent pool beyond this inner circle. This was just the most recent Scottish BAFTAs, but it's the same trend in almost all award ceremonies. CAA, Creative Artists Agency, represents the listed actors at both Hamilton Hodel and Independent, explaining the repetition.